Dudley from Street Fighter. Wow. Okay, we're gonna try something new. Record a voiceover while my drawing plays in the background. So what I'm doing here is I'm starting with some figure drawings, gesture drawings specifically. I don't believe these had any time limit, but I probably spent 15 minutes doing gestures. I just used quickposes.com and did random poses. I think for this one specifically, I skipped through poses that I thought were fucking stupid. So, did some actual poses. Okay, and now here we see me taking a little bit of advice from old Forrest Immel, who suggests doing like less than 5 minutes on a thumbnail sketch, trying a couple different things out, trying to figure out a pose that I like. I had one in mind, sort of rose throw, if you're familiar with Dudley. From Street Fighter 3, his taunt is he throws a rose over his shoulder. So I initially wanted to draw that, but then realized that that's like too easy. I wouldn't really have to use my visual library, my imagination too much. So I try to do a different pose. What's going on here, though, is I'm doing a proportion study. I think initially I was going to do a lot more studies of Dudley before I started, but I'm trying to do things a little bit faster these days. So I think I decided that this was just a proportion study at a certain point. I spend probably too long on this study. I have heard it recommended, again, this was on Forrest's advice, that we're on first name basis, that you spend about a half an hour on studies, not too much longer, which I think is wise. This study here was a study of gesture from the rose throw pose specifically. You can see me taking notes, try to remember things about it. And then I realized I don't know how to draw a torso twist. So these two studies are from that Korean artist Taco. He goes by Taco online. His anatomy books are very good. They have a lot of nice shorthand, none of which I use. So I say they're good, but I don't use any of them. I would still recommend them. I will probably dive into them a little bit more at a later date. Next study you see me doing is a head. It's a little bit small at this angle, but I am zoomed in all the way. I won't work that small. So this is Dudley's head. I was working on his head anatomy, which didn't end up using really because I drew him from behind. So you never know. Maybe I'll draw Dudley again, and then this knowledge hopefully will have stuck in my head. Although probably not because I didn't apply it. But it was still a good study. I didn't know exactly what pose I wanted to do anyway. So knowing how to draw his head a little bit would have helped. He is a very odd-looking man. Heavily exaggerated, obviously, in the brow. And, when he has no eyebrows. Anyway, now we're working on a pose. So originally I had the rose throw, and then I decided, let's do something different. I'm really into capes right now, apparently. The next piece I'm working on is a character with a cape as well. So I was trying to figure out where I wanted his arm to go, obviously. I decided to keep it simple. And then start in on some underlying anatomy. This is all just using my visual library in my head to try to remember where things are at. I don't know how correct it is. It looked correct enough for me, especially because I was going to put clothes over the pants specifically. I wasn't super concerned. And at this moment, I realized I don't know the muscles of the back again, because who the fuck does? There's a lot of them, and they're weird. So they were doing a back study. Again, it's a little small, but I'm zoomed in at this point drawing. The Clip Studio Paint Time-Lapse does not zoom in when I zoom in. So that's why it looks so small from here, but obviously I'm zoomed in to 100% and it's a lot bigger. Maybe I'll do studies using the whole canvas if I'm planning on doing time-lapses in the future, which I am. So maybe I will. Anyway, we're back to the drawing. With that newly armed knowledge, I mean, obviously, your studies aren't going to stick 100% in your head, probably, especially the first couple times you do them. But using that knowledge, try not to use reference so much. Just try to use what I just learned from reference in the drawing, in the piece, has sort of been my way of trying to improve while making finished pieces. And speaking of which, this piece, I decided not to do any color. I want to get pieces out more quickly, like I was saying. So this is just going to be a line drawing, and I'm consistently trying to kill the perfectionism worm in my brain. if I may borrow a dreg bit of advice. To kill the perfectionism worm, and it's a worm that is hard to kill and has many heads, so I'm continuously working on just calling it good at a certain point and sending it, and in this case, that calling it good is going to be a line drawing. So we're working again on the piece itself, and I'm still kind of struggling with the back muscles. I realized that I sort of did these anatomy studies, and then I covered his back with the jacket, so you'll see it move, and then I decided I want to change the silhouette of it, which I think was a stronger compositional choice. I think it helps the whole silhouette of the whole drawing and the flow of the drawing a little bit better. These are skills I don't have really, though. I'm not very good at composition. I think it's one of my weak points. So we'll work on that in the future, but right now I'm just trying to nail anatomy and proportion, a little bit of perspective. So especially in this drawing, this was very much like an anatomy focused drawing. We've got sort of the classic superhero outfit, you know what I mean? Where it's like so tight as to be unrealistic. Like you wouldn't be able to see back muscles through a shirt unless it was like popping off of you. But going into the inking here, my inking process, I decided not to overthink it. I have a tendency to get to the inking stage and be like, oh, I should try something new with my inking. And then I end up taking a really circuitous long way to get to what I was going to just do originally, which is nothing fancy. Just go over the lines, go over my roughs, see where we're at. And, I like to, especially with digital art, I like to sculpt my lines a little bit. So I draw them in and then I grab an eraser or the clear pen tool and erase to get nicer looking line quality. I believe here we decided the back is still not working right. I don't do another study though. I think I just looked at my old one. I may have used a different reference for Dudley at this point because there's a couple that I found from a YouTube video of his victory poses. And I believe I sort of used the knowledge I had from the study and then kind of tried to apply it to the reference I was also looking at. So it's a little different from the reference I was using, and it's a little the same. I opted for obviously no background here because it's just a line drawing, although I guess you could do a line drawing with a background. That would be fine. I remember being concerned that the only bit of dark black was his hair and his mustache, but I suppose I don't mind if your eye goes towards his head, since that's kind of where the focal point of a lot of drawings is anyway. As you'll see coming up here, I had a hell of a time trying to get that square right. I still don't understand how to use Clip Studio Paint rulers, so I ended up just making a perfect square of color and then using the rulers to draw lines based on that. I figured I would try to do something to make this look like a piece as opposed to just a drawing, especially since it's just a line drawing. So threw in that square at the end, tried to make it a little more compositionally interesting. Anyway, that's the piece. Hope you enjoyed it. And also this time lapse. Wow. Bye.